Hey gang, it's Kevin Strange. I'm throwing these links out to the social medias and we're going to do our thing. All right. Drop that here. Drop it over here. Drop it one more place. Two more places. Bear with me. All right. Welcome to the show, motherfucker. I just wanted to see if anybody, if any living soul can come. Ah, damn, I left my pencil in the living room. 1 second. I was in the living room trying to finish pages before I went to bed last night after a fucking crazy ass Mother's Day night at work. Anyway, I wanted to come in here and see. I talk a lot about how early I get up in the morning, start working so early. I'll do a page before I even get out of bed. Well, I wanted to show all you heads out there that I'm not fucking bullshitting. It's 7:38 in the morning. And I'm on the fucking internet. Just got out of bed. Been up for about been up since about 7. No, I've been up since about 6:30. And was gonna head out to the park, get my miles in, but I decided that before I would even do that, I was gonna get on here this morning. And do a little showpiece, get a little page out of the way, and show you guys that I ain't bullshitting. I'm here doing my thing at the butt crack of dawn every day. For all you motherfuckers out there that say you don't have time, you got kids, you got a job, you got responsibilities. I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I just somehow don't have those responsibilities in life. So I can just whittle my little day away, making my little funny books. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if I could live my dreams, do what I want with my time, but got responsibilities that come first, supersede my My petty little hopes and dreams, my childish hopes and dreams. We all got the same 24 hours in a day, motherfucker. We either make time or we waste time. I've already made a fucking half a dozen feature films in my life, written 18 novels, published 2 graphic novels, made a collectible card game. I've done countless podcasts, audiobooks. What in the world am I doing? Why do I get out of bed and do this every day? Because this is my fucking purpose and passion, motherfucker. I wouldn't want to do anything but this. All those excuses people make, well, isn't it convenient? They put those excuses, they put those obstacles in front of themselves and then pointed at them and said, oh, I can't do what I want because of these obstacles I put in front of myself. Yeah. How convenient. How convenient. I just want to mention, before we get too far in, I had my buddy Zach on a couple of days ago to shill his new book. And a lot of you guys might have noticed that my buddy, and he's welcome on here anytime. I'm going to pick on him for a minute because he chose to use my platform however he saw fit and wanted to get the last word in. He's from a very spoiled generation of kids that are very, well, that's just how they act. I don't react to it. You guys watch the video. I don't react to it. He wants to get the little last word in. He's more than welcome. I just want to talk about that a little bit. You know, I've told him this. He knows this. I'm not saying anything. I'm not speaking out of turn or talking about my buddy in a way that he's not completely familiar with. Just as an example, you know, what I talk about all the time on this YouTube channel is divisive politics and social attitude is just rampant in our culture. People want to pick sides. Everything's a fucking sporting event. Everything's a fucking team sport. And you're either on team my team or team their team. And there is no middle ground. There is no room for concessions or compromises. There is no, like, the middle has completely fallen out of culture, and you're either an extremist on one side or an extremist on the other. And if you guys listen to that show with my buddy Zach the other day, you can see just how polarizing and divisive and divided and totally comfortable people like my buddy Zach are with that. You know, he's a right-wing zealot. And if you pay attention, you know, the attitude and the cockiness, and the just to the down to the bone assuredness that they're right about everything they believe. It is exactly the same on the extreme left and on the extreme right. And you guys got to see an example of what an extreme right zealot looks like, and listen to some of his stuff on the show the other day and his attitude. And to me, that polarizing attitude is just a turnoff. Like, I don't want to, I don't have any desire to treat people like that. And I made my point very clear. I ranted for like 10 minutes about using my artistic abilities and gifts, using my passion and purpose to, above all else, just make people laugh and confront some of the most polarizing ideas in our culture through humor in an attempt to close some of that gap, some of that divide, try to bring us a little bit, at least a little bit closer together. Through the use of absurdity and exaggeration. And I know it's basically a fool's errand. And I know there's not much hope for our culture in the present time to heal these wounds and to come together as a nation, as a culture. I understand that. I'm not naive. But part of the drive, part of what the trick to being driven in your purpose is trying to find higher order for that purpose. And it's easy for me to look at the stories of Strangeville as a path or an avenue towards healing and reconciliation for our shattered culture through humor. And if you don't see, and I've been guilty of this, in my life, my worst, my darkest periods are periods where I find myself saying, well, what's the point? What's even the point of doing this, of creating this stuff? Like I can get up every day and I can make this happen, but what's the point? Why bother? And when you find yourself in a place in your purpose where you're asking yourself, why bother? What is the point? That's dangerous waters, because you are on the precipice of losing your passion for your purpose. And then it's all downhill from there. Your motivation will evaporate if you can't find meaning and passion in your purpose. And so I like to keep those big ideas on the forefront. And so when I get up every day, if I don't feel good, if shit on my body's hurting, if I'm in a stressed out situation that I'm thinking about, it's bothering me, having that purpose for my passion helps to calm me down and sit me down at the table and make sure that I get the work done for the day, because it's all being done in a futile attempt to try to bring people together through laughter. Every time I make somebody laugh with one of these ridiculous comics or movies or games, I feel like I've moved us a little bit, even a fraction of an inch closer to healing. Sean says, received my cockhammer package last week, made my day. Fastest turnaround from funding to receipt of materials. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for backing the book. I've still got a thank you video coming for you. I think I've actually already recorded it, so I just need to upload that to an unlisted YouTube video and email it out to you, and you'll have your personalized thank you video from the campaign also. I should have had the quickest turnaround on that stuff, but I had to record over 30 videos for that, and it got overwhelmed me pretty quickly, but I'm trying to knock them out. And I should have the remainder of them knocked out today or tomorrow, and I'll upload those. And I actually need to do my second batch of uploads today so I can record the new ones after that. So you might get an email today from me with your personalized thank you video. But I appreciate you acknowledging the quickness of our turnarounds. It's something I pride myself on, that I hate as a fan. I fucking hate waiting months and months and months, or even in some cases fucking years, to get my crowdfunded stuff. It's not practical. I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of money to just burn, to just let people sit with my fucking cash, interest free, for fucking years. It's just not how I do things. It's not how I do things as a fan, and it's not how I do things as a creator. And so my focus as a crowdfunder is to just get that stuff out to you guys as fast as possible, and basically treat it like a pre-order. I hope you enjoy the story. I think Cockhammer Lives is one of the fucking craziest stories I've ever told. I absolutely had a blast making that book, and thinking every day, as I'm making this ridiculous story, like, what in the fuck are people gonna think of this? This is so fucking out there. I try to make the kind of stories that I've never fucking seen before. I try to tell the kind of stories with I try to use situations and dialogue and character motivations that are just so crazy out there that you've likely never seen anyone behave in the way that characters in my stories behave. At least that's my hope. There we go. We got Death Head Doug here is swooping in and jumping down Nixon's throat here. Death Head Doug's power is one of his powers is possessing victims, and in this case, his victim is Nixon. All right. That's that. That's that. Comes around like that. Sean says, proper craziness. Love the graphic novel. Looking forward to watching the movie. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Glad to hear it, dude. That makes my day. Cockhammer the movie is my favorite of the movies I made. It's fucking absurd. And I'm glad that all these years later, we can all still appreciate that movie. I mean, I made it 12 years ago, and it still has a bit of spunk on it. I'm happy about that. That the flicks can still live on and still do their thing. That's why I made this comic book universe where all the movie characters can live on and continue their stories forward, even if we can't make any other films. And I never say never. There's an opportunity here these days. The power, the energy of Strangeville is cooking up pretty strong these days. I wouldn't rule out the possibility of some more films, but it would have to be something that really builds momentum over time. I'm not going to throw myself and my crew into another just cold into another feature-length film, but I do have some sort of intermittent plans where very shortly here, all that Indiegogo crowdfunding money is going to hit my account, and I'm going to get paid for the graphic novel, and some of the money that we raised from the comic is going to go to some lighting and video equipment. And then I'm going to raise the production value of not just the live streams, but I'm going to raise the production value of I'm going to start with commercials. I'm going to start to try to do some high concept commercials that are, if you guys have been following me for a long, long time, you know that oftentimes my little 5-minute skits, they're a story in and of themselves, but they're also a product advertisement. And I'm looking to do some of those with some high quality video equipment, modern day video equipment. I haven't owned any cutting edge video equipment or lighting or anything like that, or a laptop rig to edit the stuff with, or high quality editing software. Haven't owned anything like that in 10 years. I moved on. I used to be right on the cutting edge of of videography. Really, it was my cinematographer, Nick Head, who was on the cutting edge of all that stuff. And unfortunately, he's passed away. And, it's taken me a long time to come to grips with that if we're gonna make films, or even, like I said, high quality video production, commercials and things for new products, and the website and the superstore and all that stuff, we're going to have to move on without him. And it breaks my heart to even say that, but it's the pragmatic truth that Strangeville must live on, and we can always keep Nick alive in our hearts and in the universe. I specifically put, there's only one card in the entire 140 something card deck of Strangeville Smokeweed, the card game. There's only one card that's not an illustration, and that's a picture of Nick Head in his card, in his memorial card. And I'm going to continue to do things like that to keep his spirit alive in the Hack Movies universe, because he adored the Strangeville universe as much as anyone, more than most, more than just about everybody but me. And at times I sometimes wondered, does this guy like my universe more than I do? He was so dedicated to everything we did. And the sad truth is we have to move on. And I'm going to have to work with some more videographers and editors and things to move this thing forward, and move it forward in a visual sense beyond the comic books, because it deserves that life. And so again, I can't promise that that there's ever going to be another feature-length film, but one of my short-term goals is to reignite the video side of Strangeville and start doing some promotional videos and bringing new actors and new characters to life. I mean, I'm introducing the Strangeheads to this brand new villain, Deathhead Doug, here in this comic book I'm drawing. So there's always, we don't, as much as we honor in Strangeville, as much as we honor and revere the past, and we love movies like Cockhammer that are, over a decade old, and characters like Nixon and Hogan that are at this point like almost 16, 17 years on since their inception. We love them. They continue to be a part of the universe, but you also have to move forward and keep bringing fresh ideas and fresh characters, fresh actors, fresh villains to the game, or it gets stale. And if it gets stale, none of us are having fun. And more than anything, our goals here at Strangeville are to have fun. Have fun. So, yeah, that's what's coming down the pipe in the near future, is some high quality commercial skits for our products, for the Strangeville Superstore, for the new comics, for the new card game expansions, for tour dates, for live local shows, things like that. We need to up our game visually and get the video going again. I think I drew the Ouija board upside down. Yeah, okay. So I've got it turned around here, so it needs to look like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. All right. No biggie. I just put squiggly lines on there, but it means something to me, guys. It doesn't have to mean anything to you. It'll all make sense when it's inked and colored. Okay. All right. See if I can get in here a little bit closer on this panel I'm drawing. What else I want to talk about today? I don't know. I don't know what else I want to talk about today. I'm pretty talked out. I said pretty much what I had to say this morning. It's just a matter of knocking this page out. This, by the way, is page 14 of around 60. So we are. I got one more page to pencil over there, and then that puts us 1/4 of the way through our adventure here, through our Halloween special. For the pencils, anyway. And as I've talked about on previous shows, I'm trying to hit a July 1st deadline to have the entire Halloween special done, so that I can have plenty of time to do conventions and do a September 1st crowdfunder and have it all done. Dootsy Cutie Patootie asks, are you using a regular pen for line art? So this is actually a mechanical pencil. It's a 0.9. It's the darkest commercial. Well, it's the darkest commercial grade lead I've ever found to get me real bold, dark pencil lines. And then when I ink, I do not ink traditionally. What I'll do is I'll take a photo of this this is an 11 by 17 sheet. This is my process. I'll go through my process here. There we go. So this is an 11 by 17 sheet of Bristol board. And what I do is I take a big, thick piece of graphite pencil and I do a rough layout. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I start the comic with so this is the page I'm working on right now, a 3x5 note card that I scribble in my panels and I scribble in my layout for how the page is going to look. So if we look here, we have Death Head Doug, Nixon. Death Head Doug shooting down towards Nixon. Death Head Doug going into Nixon's mouth. Nixon choking. And then Nixon falling dead on the floor. So I do the whole book. So the whole book is done. The entire book has been completely laid out in 3x5 note cards. So I know exactly how long the book is, and I know roughly the types of panels that are going to be on the page. Everything's pretty much, the roadmap to completion is right here in my hand. I then lay everything out on 11 by 17 Bristol board so that I can draw it bigger, so that I have more room to work, so that I can put the smaller details are actually a lot bigger. It's easier for me to work. The bigger the picture for me, the more details I can put in it. And when it gets brought down to comic book size, it still looks passable. But before I do the hard, what I call the hard pencils, I lay out. I lay everything out with the graphite pencil, and that allows me to rough in where the composition, rough in the composition and layout real easily and quickly, and I can easily erase this stuff and move it around, and it allows me to really nail in exactly where I want everything to hit here. Stupid Newfie asks, you don't bother with bleeds or anything, just work to the edge of the page. Does that cause any issue with formatting for printing? So as you can see, I do make pretty wide gutters here on the page, and then sometimes the hands or things like that will bust out of the gutters and come all the way almost to the edge, almost to a full bleed to the edge of the paper. But what I do is, and I'll show you guys this when I get to that process, but when I take a picture of this, and I import it into my iPad. I have a template for my printer that has my bleed lines, lines I can't go outside of or else they'll be cut off. I have that template, so every single page gets imported into the template and then resized. So this will all get resized, and what I'll do is that bleed, I'll try to replicate the size of this gutter. This gutter is about 1/4 of an inch, and so when I'm looking at the bleed line on the template for the printer, I'll try to pull this art in because it's formatted. A big 11 by 17 board is pretty much exactly the same size as the template. It's just the template's smaller. So when I resize it, I don't have to change the shape of the page. I just have to change the size of the page. So I keep the size formatting the same, and then I shrink it down to fall within the parameters of the bleed lines for the template. And I try to eyeball. I don't do it exactly because I want an organic look to the comics. I want them to be real messy looking, like a kid drew them. But I roughly try to eyeball in that 1/4 of an inch gap from the end of my panel to the bleed line. So then when it's printed, when you see the printed book, and I don't have any in front of me. Well, yeah, I have one here. So when we look at the something like Nixon Hogan Hates Comics here, you can see that I have a pretty big gutter that runs around the entire thing. And so this is a shrunk down, these are actually mini comics. So this is a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of paper, but it still is roughly the same shape as the 11 by 17 Bristol board paper. So I'm just shrinking the large page down, dropping it into where my template, bleed lines would be here. And so I shrink everything in to fit within those bleed lines, and I try to keep roughly a 1/4 inch gutter around the entire comic. And as you can see, they're not all exact. Like the bleed line, the gutter on this page is a little bit smaller than the gutter on this page, but I like that organic look to my. I hand line all of my panels so that they're a little bit off. They're a little bit funky. They look like they were hand drawn by a crazy person or a kid. But then here's like a page that would be full bleed in a normal comic book. These lines would bleed off the page. In this 5.5 by 8.5, I don't choose the full bleed option at this black and white printer because it costs more. So I go ahead and just allow there to be a natural white border around. And then this is the same. This page is also, if it was a full-size comic, it would be a full bleed off the page. When I'm doing a full bleed page like this, I would have, obviously, since this is turned, this is an image that's flipped to horizontal. So I would turn my template to the horizontal, and that I would still have my bleed line for the template. And so what I would try to do is make sure that like the fingers, like the fingers of the dragon here, or the tip of the wing, I would make sure that these elements, the bottoms of the feet, I would try to make sure, and obviously I did that when I reformatted this page. You can see that all of the key elements of the dragon still fit within the border. The only thing that's cut off from the border line there is the background lines there, or in this case, the space. Space is cut off, but as you can see, all the important elements of the image are still inside all my word balloons and everything are inside the parameters of the bleed lines. So I hope that little technical lesson there shows you how I handle border bleeds and such. Vicky's here this morning. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Vicky. Nice of you to join me here early in the morning. I wanted to see how many people would actually come in here and hang out with me super early And actually, a bunch of you guys impress. All you early birds impress me. I'm a morning guy. I like to get in here real early in the morning and start my work. I usually don't fire up the live stream. If I'm going to do a live stream, I usually don't fire it up till around noon. But I try to get as much. I try to get all my work done for the day that I really crucially need done. Then I'll live stream and do some pages because to me they're like extras. But anyway. Vicky says, I like the imprecise gutters. In my opinion, it adds to the aesthetic you seem to be going for. Right. Like I imagine in my head that these the adventures of Strangeville are drawn by some psychotic serial killer in prison who doesn't necessarily have access to rulers, things like that. I like the manic craziness of a hand-drawn style. I don't tend to like. There's no attention to. For example, there's no attention to what is that? Horizon lines or anything like that. I'm eyeballing out the perspective here. So as you can see, like the perspective line should be somewhere. If I was actually laying this out in perspective the right way, the perspective line would be somewhere out here. Let's say somewhere out here. And then the perspective grid would be laid out somewhere like that. And as you can see, this is I know you guys can't tell what this shit is because it's just lines. It'll all make sense when it's colored and everything. But this is a table, and there's a Ouija board on the table, but I've just used squiggly lines instead of actually drawing the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the yes, no, and the numbers and all that. They're just squiggly lines right now. But you can see that the table is huge in the foreground. Nixon's feet are big. And then his body elongates, and these things in the back. This is a like a desk. What is a shelf? This is like a shelving thing that'll have DVDs in it, and this is the bottom of a lamp, and that's the corner of the room. And again, all this stuff it'll all look like that stuff when I finally have it all laid out. I like to use little Beavis and Butthead like squiggly dashes and things to kind of show the direction and that the walls are moving and things like that. But so there is perspective in this image, but I'm doing it all by eye and by hand and making sure that it's just off and weird enough that it looks like a crazy person did it. Instead of, I don't like, to me, the most interesting art is organic and frenetic art with all kinds of energy in it. And so I tend to do everything by hand. I lay out the panels with the ruler, but then I go in by hand and darken them in, so you can see the little squiggly. You can see the little squiggly spots in the panels where I'm dragging the pencil down by hand. You can see all that stuff, and it's all done on purpose. Like I'm not saying that if I did use a perspective ruler that I would be a better artist, but I specifically try to make the art kind of cruddy and crappy on purpose. And I want it to be aesthetically pleasing. I want it to look cool. To me, something like Ren and Stimpy or Beavis and Butthead are perfect examples of the style that I'm going for, where they still more or less follow the rules of design, but are wonky enough that they look like kids' drawings, crude high school stoner drawings, on purpose, but they still read. Like Beavis and Butthead still reads, no matter how grody and crappy the art looks. It still reads as intelligible. You can easily tell what everything is, and that's the battle that you're constantly waging when you're trying to create that kind of a style is, does this read? Does it make sense? And is it grody and crappy enough that it fits the aesthetic that I'm going for. So just some more insights into the mind of Strange. That's what we're going for here. What's going to be interesting is as these crowdfunders grow and as we bring in more income from the conventions and the Strangeville Superstore, and we start do our merch launch and really start building our merchandising line, and we start bringing cash flow into the company again, I'm going to want to hire more artists to put more comics out. Like I would love to do 3 or 4 or more comics a year, but I can personally only give so much attention to the page and then so much attention to the rest of the business. So I'm pretty much tapped out at 1 graphic novel a year. I can pretty faithfully get you guys about 150 or 200 pages a year myself. But I want us to have way more stories than that. So it's going to be interesting moving forward as I hire artists to draw some of the comic books for me. It's going to be interesting trying to translate this style into another artist and be like, listen, guy, I need you to draw this as crappy as you can, but also still make it look like it makes sense. It's going to be a lot of fun to find. And I actually, like, I could get on Instagram right now and try to commission 4 or 5 guys whose styles I think would absolutely fit the Strangeville house style of crappiness. But I don't think that they're cartoonists, but I don't think that they do sequential art. The guys that I follow on Instagram that I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's the Strangeville style right there. Like that fits perfectly with what I'm doing. Those guys are pretty much just Instagram artists. They pretty much just draw shit on Instagram every day, and that's the extent of it. They'll do commission art where they'll do one piece for somebody. But for the most part, I don't think the guys that I really like aesthetically, that I think have a real cool, crappy punk rock style like this, I don't think they would even make a comic. I think if I asked them to do a comic, they'd tell me I was crazy, that they don't make comics. So it's going to be interesting trying to find a group of guys and girls that can replicate this house style and not draw it like me, but have a style similarly enough that it fits my aesthetic for going for the weird Beavis and Butthead crappy punk rock style. So that needs to come back here like that and like that. And that's the floor. See, when I put these little textured texture lines in, they all go a particular direction, and then that helps me read what's going on. So that's the back of that long line is the back of the and I've kind of got a tangent going there with that line kind of meets up a little too close with the line on the bottom of the lamp. So that line back there is the back of the wall. That's the corner of the wall. That's the back of the wall. And you can see the dashes go horizontal here and then vertical across the floor. And that's Nixon's actually laying on his cape. That's what all the squiggly lines are there. That's his vampire cape that he's laying on. And then you can see the vertical lines again that make up the floor. And then I put some horizontal lines on the table there to sort of break all that up. And once it's colored and everything, it'll make a lot more sense. It'll all read once that couch is a certain color, that table's a certain color, the floor is a certain color, the cape is a certain color. I put the when I put the shadows underneath him, you'll be able to tell that there's a separation between the cape and the floor. This is all just the pencils for me are just a roadmap for my inks. When I digitize this page and take it into my iPad and digitally ink it and color it, the pencils are just a roadmap to get me there. Show me where everything is. So we did a little page today together early. It's only 8:30 in the morning. I haven't gone to the park yet for my walk, so I'm going to get that going now. And I'm actually impressed with how many heads are up this early in the morning that want to come in and chit chat with me. I thought I was going to be talking to myself all day. Thanks for joining me, everybody. There's links in the description below to the Strangeville Strange Sayings newsletter. That's my weekly correspondence through email with you guys, where I will send you periodically newsletter exclusive discounts for merchandise, where I will exclusively reveal covers, or I'll post links to these videos that I do. If you've missed some of the live streams, I'll post links to the live streams. Just all the updates and things. You'll be the first to see new merch drops, things like that. You'll be able to find on the newsletter. And right now, through the entire month of May, if you sign up for the newsletter, you get a digital PDF copy of Nixon and Hogan Hate Comics for free in your email, just for signing up. So everybody in the month of May gets a free copy of Nixon and Hogan Hate Comics as a PDF. There's also a link in the description to the Strangeville Superstore below, where you can buy all the movies, all the books, all the comics, the card game, and then pretty soon I'm going to have a bunch of fucking merch up there too. Our pal Skinny has joined us here. Hey, buddy, what page are you on now? I'm just finishing up page 14 in the pencils. So I got one more. I got this one to go, and then I'll be 15 pages in, and that's a quarter of the way through the 60-page comic for the pencil phase. So we're trucking right along. I've got a July 1st deadline. I don't know if I'll hit it or not, but we're gonna truck along, and we're gonna try to get there. But that's gonna be it for us today, gang. So sign up for that newsletter and go shopping on the Superstore, and buy some movies or comics or novels or something. Go grab you some Strangeville shit. Until next time, gang, remember to stay strange.